What I'm seeing today is sometimes sellers are backing out. Sellers are saying, you know what, I can get higher, next year I'll get more money for it. I'll just keep it for another 8 months, and I'll get a bigger multiple next year. Because for every dollar that they get, they might get 3 times that on the sales side. So we're seeing that grow, and it's supply and demand, right? So you have a big buying demand and a limited selling demand. It's gonna bring the prices up.
Nathan, I know you said not to focus on the numbers, but I just want to add a question about the numbers on the example that you used.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, the business that was on the slides, it was $395K, and $320,000 down, and the $75,000 financed for the owner. Now, I don't have $320,000, so is that something that I need to go look at a different business? Is that something the SBA can help me with, or a bank? How does
well, that's doing the deal. That's like, for instance, let's say they're asking $395 and he's asking $320 down, and you have $150,000 to put down, and this business has reasonable tax returns, and it shows a profit, and you go to the local bank, and they have the SBA relationship, and it's SBA-able, I call it. So I don't think that's a word, but it's SBA-able, and
start using it.
Yeah, and they can take that deal and make it into a deal that they could fund. Yeah, that's how it's done. Okay. Now, let's use a scenario. If this deal wasn't financeable, and the guy wanted $395 down, guess what? He ain't selling it. Okay. So either he acts as the bank, and you act as the down payment provider, or he's a good businessman, kept good books and records. You bring the package to your lending source. The lending source works with the SBA, and they get the deal done.
So you see few seller financing deals.
We see what?
Very few seller financing deals.
No, I happen to see a lot of seller financing deals. A big portion of it, only because there are a lot of lousy entrepreneurs that don't keep good books and records. My father has a saying: "There's no such thing as a bad business, only bad business owners." Right? And when he says that, he refers to the finance, how they do their books and records. They're running their business, but they're not accountants. They're not good bookkeepers. That is the key to success, folks. Keep good books and records. It'll make everybody's job a lot easier in the future.
I wanted to add something to what you're saying about keeping good books. When you're buying the business, get a good accountant. Your friend who does your taxes may not be the guy you want to evaluate what the business is worth.
That's a great piece of advice. And when I buy a business, I don't like using a staff of people that I'm friendly with, only because I like to really search out the people who have competent skills. Like a guy who does your tax return, or the gal who does your tax return, might not have forensic skills to really dig into the business to really make sure it's making the money the guy's saying it's making.
One thing I'd like to add, Nathan, on this particular business, just because they say $75,000 as taking on a long-term loan, everything is negotiable. You may counter and say, no, I want to put $150,000. Is that reasonable to you? And that's a negotiation issue between the buyer and the seller, or the attorneys for the buyer and the seller. So don't say anything that you see there is gospel. Everything is negotiable. And even the price is negotiable, because things have been happening. Certain owners become more motivated over a period of time if they've had the business on for sale for a long period of time, and they identify that people are saying, okay, I'm interested, but I don't want to pay that price. After a period of time, the seller says, okay, well, let's talk about it. Maybe we can renegotiate something that makes more sense to the buyer. So it's all open.
But just keep in mind, it could be a component of, right? So like, let's say you wanted to buy this business and you had $100,000 to put down, and the bank says, I'm going to lend you another 100, and the seller says, well, I'll give you 95, right? Or 195, right? To make it 395. You get that deal done. Now, the seller might have to do a standby agreement with the SBA, saying that the SBA gets paid first before I get, or sometimes they hold back. They say for the first 3 months or 3 years, or 12 or 5 years, you're not getting any loan payments until you bring the debt equity up higher. So there's ways to get the deals done. Go to the finance guys. I'm a business guy. I'll find the targets. They'll figure out how to finance the targets.
I have a quick question. In your experience, especially in the past year and a half or 2 years, I spoke to another broker a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me the issue is credit, you know. And he was telling me that he's seeing a lot of deals fall apart because the people, the buyers, don't have particular experiences in the industry. Let's say I've been in finance, big business, and I want to buy a bar or restaurant.
Right.
And the creditors, the banks or SBA say, well, you don't have experience in running that. Is that an issue that you've seen
Yes.
as an impediment in the
Yes,
last couple
yes,
couple
because
of
the banks want to know you have knowledge in the business that you're buying.
They want to see a couple of years of experience.
Now, I did a deal in Pennsylvania, just recently, about a year and a half ago. It was a very large business in dental networking. This company built networks for the dentists. And we sold, it was $1 million plus transaction, and a young fellow wanted to buy the business, had no experience. So he bought into the business, he bought a percentage into the business. And I'm happy to tell you, next week we're closing on the balance of the business. He's buying the balance. He's done a great job. They put him into the sales force. He acclimated himself into this. You don't have to buy the whole business right away. You got to get your knowledge sometimes. Now, some sellers, that just happened to be a great young man and a great seller. Another deal that I did just recently, and it was a fabulous deal. It was a company called Bags on the Net, and two guys came to us, and one was a Wall Street guy, and one guy was in his family's furniture business, and he wasn't getting along with his father and his uncle, and he said, "I got to find a business. You got to get me out of here. You know, I have a family. I want to be the captain of my own ship." Really, really smart guy, and he came to us, and he sat down and he said, "I want to buy a liquor store." I said, "You want to buy a liquor store? Why do you want to buy a liquor store?" He says, "Well, people drink." And I said, "Okay, people drink. Could you picture yourself in front and work in a liquor store?" I said, "You know what you're going to be doing?" And he said, "What?" I said, "You're going to be on the computer, and you're going to be on eBay, and you're going to be looking at stocks, and you're going to be watching the television, and when somebody comes in for a bottle of vodka, you're going to charge them $45 for a bottle of vodka, or if somebody comes in for a glass of, a bottle of wine, you're going to sell a bottle of wine." I said, "That doesn't fit your persona. What fits your persona is something that you can use your skills with to really grow." So these guys bought a company called Bags on the Net, okay? And what they do is they make custom plastic bags for the trades. And the guy who was selling it was a guy named, Ivan. He wanted to sell it. He was an older gentleman, had nobody to leave the business to. And he took these guys on like they were his sons. To this day, he shows up for an hour or two, almost every single day at the place to help them. He's programmed. And they said, "Geez, I couldn't have done this without his tutorage." They love him like a father now. And he said this was the best thing. And I think a few weeks ago, the guys who bought it spoke on our Monday morning conference call how great it was finding the right seller to help me grow the business. That's what you're going to find when you buy an existing business. You're not going to be alone. And if the guy holds paper, if the guy holds the paper on it, believe me, his success and your success are aligned, because he ain't getting paid unless you're successful. And and that's why they'll take those standby agreements with the finance sources, because they want to make sure that you're going to be successful. Any other questions?
Who pays your fees? Is it the seller? Or
The seller pays our fee unless we get circumvented. So if you ever did a deal with a buyer and we didn't get paid at the closing, we find out, then you would be responsible for the fee in our contract. But the sellers pay our fees. There are no fees to the buyers. We work, countless hours with our buyers. It's not about the commission to us. It's about finding you the right business. Just, if businesses, here's the difference between our firm and the culture in our firm than all the other firms. And our culture is really fabulous. Businesses are bought, not sold. I think my competitors try to sell what they have. We have such a variety of businesses, 3,500 active companies for sale right now that we represent. We have such an active portfolio of companies that are for sale that our brokers are not forced. Like if it was a broker that you went to and he only has 10 listings, trust me, he's going to try to sell you one of the 10 because that's how he's going to make his living. But if you go to a firm that has 35, and that's why I gave you that list of all the other firms, I want you to see all of them. I want you to see everything that's available in the marketplace. If I have it, God bless us, we get a deal done. If we don't have it, and you find it with somebody else, I've had so many letters written to me by buyers that the broker would, I bought a business from another brokerage firm, but I went back to your firm for advice, and the broker gave me the advice. I just wanted you to know, and that's the culture that we have. We're here to help you, okay? We don't get paid by you. We get paid by the seller. So, but if you need our help and you're looking at a deal and you think it makes some sense, but maybe it doesn't make some sense, go back to the broker, ask him those questions, get another opinion. Sometimes I tell people go to 2 accountants. Let the 2 accountants do the due diligence on the deal. Bring in another guy. Tell the seller you were unhappy with the first guy's report. You want to bring somebody else in. Spend that extra $1,000 or $1,500 to review the books and records. It's insurance. You don't want to get into the wrong deal.
I was just saying about how much does it cost for an accountant fees to look at?
It's all over the map. I mean, like I'll give you an example. Like a typical closing. Sometimes we can do a closing for $2,000, and I've seen bills from major law firms at $25,000. Depending on the size of the business. Depending on the size of the business, how much work has to be done, that's how they're going to charge you. Now, on the accounting side, it shouldn't be that expensive, but price it out. Now you're the entrepreneur. Being the entrepreneur, you're going to be pricing out everything. You're going to be looking at the phone bill, the electric bill, the payroll. You're going to be looking at every element of that business because that's your job, not because that's your money. Every dollar you save goes into your pocket, so price it out.